the Chartered Accountant at PPGUK. He did ACCA from Kamal Institute. And the title of his talk is Professional Accountancy, Challenging but Rewarding.
Hello everyone. With personal experience, I know that the energy level seems to drop after lunchtime, so I'll make it interactive and fun. Introduction. My name is Sandeep. And I'll just touch quickly on this. So I did ACCA in 2012, and I'm currently working in Intuit UK. It's an accounting software company based in the US. It's headquartered in the Bay Area. I'm currently doing my MBA as well from a distance learning provider, Bradford University. I specialize in audit and internal control, and currently I'm actually working in the payments industry. So basically, I built this end-to-end money flow from when a cardholder takes a transaction till how it reaches the merchant and how the company who's providing the payments get their share of revenue. That's something I built from scratch for this company. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to stare at this presentation. Because usually accounting is, kind of something which scares people away, just like maths. And people don't want to be an accountant, And it says that in the UK especially, accountants are called the bean counters because they're just supposed to count what comes in. And if anyone can understand anything apart from accounting over there, that's a good start. But I want to expedite that to this. Now, if we can understand,
This is more scary.
this is more scary, right? Okay, cool. So the point I'm trying to make is, by the end of this 20-minute presentation that I'm doing, if I can explain or make accounting and finance somewhat familiar to this crowd, then I'll consider myself successful. Okay, so the presentation objective is basically two disciplines of accounting. One is financial accounting, and the other is management accounting. I'm going to explain that in detail in the next slide. Introduction to professional accountancy bodies like ACCA, which I completed, and a lot of others that is in the market. Challenges of completing a chartered accounting qualification, why it's difficult and therefore most students don't want to possibly pursue. Employability and potential career path. This is very important because people always think an accountant can just count money, do audit, count money that comes in. But basically, 58% of all FTSE 100 company CEOs are accountants. And this I'm talking about only one accounting body, which is the ICAEW. So put that into perspective and think how important accounting is. And then I consider a presentation should be personal so people can relate to the presenter. So I'm going to present my own career timeline, which actually started when I came to the UK, because I did my studies in Nepal. And I'm going to share some career mapping best practices. This would have applied if the crowd was referred to the students, because I catered more to the students, but if the parents know as well, it's good because then they can cascade the information to your children when you go back home. Alright, so accounting is basically financial accounting and management accounting. The significant difference is the users of that information. So me as a financial accountant, everything I do is catered to the external user. External users are the investors, the creditors, the customers, and the taxing authorities, for example, HMRC. But management accounting is what is internal. So that information is provided to the internal management so they can facilitate decision making. Significant difference. The other one is financial accounting looks at historic data. So like fiscal year ends, and then we count the revenue, and then do all the liabilities and assets and balance sheets and financial statements. But that is almost not useful now because it's talking about last year, right? But on the other hand, management accounting is forecasting, planning and analysis, and 5-year plans. what my company should do in 5 years plan, what's my resources going to be, how much should I budget for X function, etc., etc. And the last difference is financial accounting is heavily regulated. For example, the Financial Conduct Authority is all over that. Give you a small example. Tesco right now is facing quite some investigation because the financial accounting side of the business failed in Tesco because they had a 250 million loophole of overstated profit. Okay, for parents and children and everyone alike, there are these many chartered institutions in the UK that provides accountancy qualification. The top one is what I did. ICA stands for Institute of Chartered Accountants Scotland, and ICAEW stands for England and Wales. Chartered Accountants Ireland. The CIPFA is the Chartered Institute of Professional and Financial Accountants, and CIMA is specific body for management accountants, right? So all these are doing financial accounting, which I differentiated in the other slide. CIMA is focusing on the management accounting side, which is to cater information to the management. And to put things into perspective again, last year, this is a data provided by CCAAB, which is a constitution of accounting bodies. Professional accountants brought in 166 billion pounds of contribution to the last year's economy, which constitutes to about 15% of the UK overall economy. So you see, if you have children who don't know what to do, and they are good in maths or they are good in critical thinking, but then they are afraid of accounts, they should not be afraid of accounts. Accounts is just plus and minus, right? What comes in, what goes out. If you buy a car, your cash leaves from the bank, but the car comes in, both are assets, right? So it's easy. Okay, this is my personal analysis of why professional accountancy is difficult and different than your bachelor's in accountancy and finance, right, in the university degree. Number one, it is difficult because the assessment is completely different. I would easily pass a bachelor's degree submitting coursework because now I'm doing MBA, so I know 2 weeks from the exam date I study and then I prepare a coursework and I pass. But the practical approach of the case study-based assessment that the professional bodies take is completely different. For example, people will understand from the point of view of A-levels, because in economics A-levels, you are doing case studies. So when I did my ACCA, my questions would be longer than my answers. Okay? I would be given so many information that half of it is not relevant. So I need to have learned so much that I need to pick out the stuff that is relevant to the solution. And a one-page question would probably have a half-page answer. But the trick is in the length of the question and that you should know what is relevant. Right? I'll give you an example of an ACCA paper. So one would be, imagine you are an audit manager and then you go into a client and then you ask your statutory accounts, what is the level of materiality you would say? Now that's not a question you get in university studies. That's why it's difficult. And the last one, okay, I studied ACCA, I passed it 2012, passed all my 14 papers, rigorous papers. But guess what? Just like doctors and lawyers and all of the professionals, we have to continuously, professionally develop ourselves. And that's another note that why it's difficult. So I have to go to X number of trainings every year and then tick the box saying I've done this, I've updated myself in the VAT regulation, I've updated that change in taxes that happened because of the budget that George Osborne published, etc., etc. So this is very important for all of us here, is the possibilities of an accountant in this country. I think accountants can just even talk to you better, Are you earning something? When should I file the tax return? Because they are all getting cash, right? Which is illegal, by the way. But, I mean, from one point of view, it's so less that the HMRC will not even bother to investigate. But still, it's a relevant question, right? What's your annual turnover? So two different paths an accountant can take, which I took on the beginning of my career, because I went to do practice. So when I went into practice means like hardcore accounting all day, every day. You either prepare financial statements, you perform bookkeeping, or you go to your audit. I specialize in audit, so I have to go to a 2-week audit engagement with a client every month. So that's what I did. But you can do any of those, and in that particular order, you can specialize in audit, tax, you can become a consultant, and eventually the best you can do in the practice method is become a partner. So then you can share profits, right? Completely different is industry, where I'm at right now, because I transitioned from practice to industry. You can become internal auditors. For example, Tesco would hire a very good internal auditor right now, because if the internal auditor would have picked those accounting anomalies, then Tesco would not have been in the position which is right now. You can also be a general accountant, just booking every revenue and cost that comes in every month. You can be a financial analyst. This is, again, the ones who studied SEMA. You can become a good financial analyst. This is your 5-year planning, 3-year planning, what's your revenue going to be, what's your cost going to be, and what's your markup, what's your provision, what your liabilities you want to set aside. That's what the financial analyst does. You can then climb your ladder, become an accounting manager, have a subordinate of 5 teams you can manage. Similarly, you can be a finance manager, managing a team of financial planning and analysts. Then you can slowly climb up to become CFOs and then CEOs. Another statistic I want to share is 86% of all CFOs and CEOs in the board are chartered accountants in the UK. Okay? It's a very, very interesting fact, considering that we in our community actually don't give that much of interest in this profession. It's quite serious. It's very considerable amount of data that are provided. Okay, so my personal share out. This is my career mapped out. The x-axis is the time period, and the y-axis is my emotional energy, how I felt, sad, happy, elated, depressed, frustrated. So I got great marks in SLC, by the way, even though I went to basketball after giving my first paper, I was playing basketball in Pardon campus, because I thought next day is English and I can pass it. But yeah, I got some good marks in SLC, and obviously in Nepal, it doesn't have to be parents, but the general thinking is science. Because everyone who gets a good degree studied science. So then I went to study ISC. I joined KU, I got my name in the first list. And I studied science for 1 year, and I failed. I failed in maths and physics. And see, I thought that science, even though actually I learned so much in science in this 3 hours, that I learned in that 1 year. So I thought that science is not my cup of tea, but look at that number. I was so, it just hit me. Because I thought I was brilliant, and I got good marks in SLC. And then, obviously my parents were not happy.
Kay does that.
Kay does that, right? And our dean was PI.
Yes.
So, tough times. Yeah. So, then I thought I'll study economics. So I majored in economics, and I excelled in it actually. I got pretty good marks, and I loved economics. And then I joined business school, which is ACM, Kathmandu College of Management. It's a very good, prestigious institution in Nepal. It's opposite BNB Hospital. And that was a very good experience. That's why I've given it 8. And then, a good news happened, is we could come to the UK. So my parents brought me to the UK, and guess what happened? Lehman Brothers crashed. So I was this go-getter, jet-setter, want to join a corporate company or whatever, and see that I've got good certificates and stuff. But 6 months, I ended up just going nowhere, depressed. So that's 5. I've given it 5. Because the other 5 is I was in the family. Yeah, so it's covered up. I went a step down when I started studying ACCA, because I thought my bachelor's in business administration was so generic that I would not be able to get a good job. on top of that, add the 2008 financial crisis and whatever followed after that. We've been facing the consequences of that even now. Right? I worked for 7 days, 9 hours retail. That makes 63 hours a week. Studying ACCA. So that was my hard time. And I actually focused more on the lows than the highs because success is when you jump out of the lows. And then a wonderful thing happened is I got a job in a practice firm and they funded my remaining ACCA paper. And interesting thing is when I applied for the job, they called me 2 weeks later and then they said, you got a job, but it's not the role that you wanted. And the reason is they've given me 5 minutes to say, okay, do you have any questions? I said, yes, I have a question. The role that you've given me, I don't like that role. I like something in audit. And then the partner said, okay, we'll think about it, but you're a good candidate. So 2 weeks later, they said, hey, you know what, Sandeep, you've not got the job, but you've got a job. The job that you wanted. Okay? So then I started working as a junior auditor at a practice firm in Kingston. Then the next high is I passed my ACCA. In 2012, I opened my. It's chronic. It's crazy when you get ACCA results. I passed it, and then I hugged my parents, and that was a very big moment in my life. And then 2 years in practice, a LinkedIn headhunter found me in LinkedIn, and they said Intuit is a Fortune best company to work for, company in the US, $5 billion company. If you want to join, we have a role that fits you. And I said, okay, why not? And then I did that, and it was a really good experience. And in the 18 months I joined Intuit, we had a big strategic shift. So the product that I was working on got pushed down the list, and then some other product came up. So like, I was in the stage of doing the same thing again, no challenge. That's why my emotional energy dropped down. And then, even though I was lastminute.com, but I happen to be here standing in front of you presenting this. And I've read it that, A, because I feel so good to be, to find my name taken in the same breath as these wonderful, knowledgeable people that presented and will present, that I consider that a high point in my life right now. Okay? That's my personal. Now these are for the students, but I'll flip it and make it to the parents who are attending this event. Okay? Every parent should know that in this country, every student going to a university must, and have to do a penultimate year internship. Every wedding I go, every seminar I go, every time they say, how did you get a job? I got a job because I didn't even have the opportunity to do a penultimate year internship because I already passed out when I came here. And then I tell them, why haven't you got a job? And they say they never did a penultimate year internship. So when the employees don't have experience in their CV, and the employers find their resume and the CV and they say humanitarian work and social work and council stuffs in the university, that doesn't count too much. That's like the fact. Number one thing for all parents, if you want to help your children, is to motivate them, inform them that they have to take a penultimate year internship. It's for 3 months. You can even take a summer gap year and work everything that is there, but you have to have experience in your CV. The other one is networking. For example, I didn't know that there were so many knowledgeable people in our community living in Cambridge and Oxford, that we could actually monetize this network. So I could do tax returns for you guys. I can file your companies if you're doing consulting on your own, right? I'm serious. I'm not even joking. Because if I'm studied, then I can do that. Why not, right? I'll charge you less.
That's the main point.
That's the main point. Okay. The other thing is learning soft skills like organization, punctuality, interview skills, listening. God's given us 2 years for no reason. 1 month, speak less, listen more. Okay? And prioritizing skills and leadership. If you are a captain of a cricket team, football team, basketball team, that still counts for leadership because you have to patrol the resources you have, play to their strengths, negate their weaknesses, right? And then please be technology savvy. There's a lot of enterprise-wide software coming in. I saved my presentation in Google Drive so that if in case the pen drive doesn't work, I could download it from my drive, right? Simple things that people can learn without going to a corporate house or a practice firm or a big four audit company. You can just do that. And please Learn MS Office, everything, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or the Apple equivalent of that, because that will keep you there in the interviews when you say, I am an advanced level Excel user, I can do macros and VLOOKUPs and pivot tables and stuff like that. That will just bring you so much in the competition that you can't even imagine. So learn that when you're in the university. And when in doubt, please ask, consult, attend free seminars, consult within the family, with your brothers, with your cousins, join LinkedIn. Even if you haven't started working, put like perspective, MBA, passed out 2016, 3 papers passed ACCA, example like that. But then the headhunters will start finding you. And if you are a first-time passer, then you more often than not, eventually you land a good job. And free seminars is so important. In this country, Google and Yahoo, there's so much information up there. You just need to find the time to invest in your own career. There are school-level programs. There are so many free seminars that Big Four especially organizes, Deloitte, KPMG, PwC. You'll get free drinks, free food. You just need to go and sit down there and then know what is in offering that they will provide in the next year's recruitment event. Okay. And the last one. This one is for everyone. Oops. Okay. The last thing I had was I expressed all the moments when I failed or I felt low. And I play basketball, so by the way, the second presenter, Sudhin, is a very good friend of mine, and I'm so happy that I met him. After 10 years, I just had a quote from Michael Jordan. We happen to play basketball. So he said, failure is not an issue, everybody fails, but not trying is. Yeah? So I could have ended up, I don't know where, if I hadn't bounced back and excelled in economics and then pursued my accountancy qualifications because I failed in maths and science. But I tried. And that probably is a message that you can take personally, or you can tell your children going to university. That's all from me, and thank you for the time.